Secretary Rubio, do you know what this is?
I'm sorry, my Lasix is not as good
That's
as it
all
used to
right,
be.
I'll explain. This is a ready-to-use therapeutic food, also known as a RUF. It's produced in the United States by Adesia Nutrition in Rhode Island and Manna Nutrition in Georgia from American-grown farm products. A single box that I have right here of this miracle product can save a child from dying of severe acute malnutrition in only 6 to 10 weeks. Now, since January, you have promised over and over again that foreign aid freezes will not include life-saving assistance. RUF save the lives of children who are starving around the world. Do you agree that this product is life-saving aid?
It can be, yes.
Well, Secretary Rubio, the World Food Program estimates that 8,000 children die from hunger every day. Until last Friday, over 123,000 RUF boxes were purchased for Sudan, but were sitting in Rhode Island in a warehouse because of State Department delays. So my question for you is, are you doing everything you can to keep starving children from
There was
dying?
no State Department delays to that being deployed. There may have been other delays, but it wasn't State Department.
There were State Department delays. And it is clear that you have not done everything you can do to keep these kids from starving, because there are another 185,000 boxes of RUFs that the US government and taxpayers have already paid for sitting in that same warehouse, all because the State Department doesn't have a plan, doesn't have its stuff together to get this rolling.
And here's the turning point. Because when Amo brings up those 185,000 boxes still sitting in a warehouse, Rubio's talking points fall apart. This is where the hearing stops being political theater and becomes a test of responsibility. Watch what happens next, because the pressure is about to explode.
So I can think of several countries where this aid is desperately needed, where these boxes of RUFs could save hundreds of thousands of children's lives. And these delays have real consequences, not just for starving children, but also jobs at home. I talked to the CEO of Adesia, who said they had to lay off 10% of their team due to the lack of payments from the US government and a lack of clarity in March. So Secretary Rubio, will you commit to making decisions needed to move the remaining 185,000 boxes of RUFs to countries that need them by the end of this week?
Well, I'd be interested to learn what those impediments
Well,
are.
we've been talking about this for a while. I've sent you letters since
But there's
January.
no impediment on our end to
There
distributing
are
that.
impediments.
There are
I'm
others.
speaking
Part of
directly
it,
to the
Sudan
source.
is a war zone.
Secretary, I'm
that's an
reclaiming my
impediment.
time. This exists
other
as a
impediments.
problem, and you have not acted.
That's false.
And maybe it's the case that you have too many jobs, because I know it's the case. It must be a lot to be the National Security Advisor, the National Archivist, or the head of USAID. That's a lot.
It
I
is.
understand a lot of footballs. You a football player, that's a lot of balls to catch. But the issue here is
All right, we
we
can
have
handle it.
children who are dying. So will you commit to continuing to fund the production, transportation, and distribution of these domestically produced life-saving products to save starving children around the world?
They're approved now.
They are not moving. I just told you about
they're not-
185,000 boxes in Rhode Island. I
And
live
you
there.
need to figure out why they're not moving, because it is an impediment from us.
Sir, you need to figure out. That's actually your job, sir.
No, it's no impediment from the State Department.
Well,
there
Mr.
may
Secretary,
be
it
logistical
seems like you
impediments that have
will not
nothing to
make
do
a
with
commitment.
us.
Sir, it seems like you refuse to make a
We
commitment.
do more of that than anybody in the world, and we're going to continue to do it. We're going to continue to do food aid. We're going to do more food aid than any country on the planet times 10.
Well, that's a lot of talk. But I believe
Those are numbers.
seeing is believing, and
But
there
those
is
are
not to
numbers.
be seen.
Those are numbers. Those are facts. We do more foreign aid.
Well,
and
I've
more
got
food
numbers. I've got 185,000 boxes that aren't moving. So,
Yeah, but the State Department
Secretary,
doesn't move
I'm going to do you a little
boxes.
favor.
We
I'm gonna-
authorize them to
Mr.
move, and they're
Secretary, I'm
authorized-
reclaiming my time, sir. I'm going to
They're
do you a
authorized
favor.
to move. Well, you ask questions you don't anybody answer. I'm telling you, they're allowed
And I
to
have a
move.
question for you, and you're compelled to answer. Why don't you take 10 seconds now to turn to your staff and say, let's get this fixed?
My staff knows that this has been fixed.
No, it
There's no
hasn't been
impediment on the
fixed.
State
Well,
Department
then
side.
you have not proven that to me. If the people who are affected, both here domestically and around the world, are not receiving this life-saving product.
They are receiving it.
Look, you staked your career in the Senate on supporting humanitarian aid, but now you won't make a commitment, or you're saying things have been done that
already
haven't
made
been
a
done.
commitment.
You've made a commitment?
We do more food aid than anybody in the world, and we're doing more today than anybody in the world.
Secretary, I'm reclaiming my time. You are speaking in generalities. I'm talking about
I'm
specifics.
speaking in specifics. We do more than anybody in the world, and we're doing more than anybody in the world right now at this very moment.
That's hyperbole, sir, because this has been disrupted
does more?
because of your
Who does more?
freezing of aid.
Who does more food aid than the United States?
Sir, why are you asking me questions? My job is to ask you
Well,
questions.
you're the one that's claiming that we're not.
Secretary,
Tell
I'm
me who
reclaiming
does-
my time.
What food aid
Secretary,
do
I'm
we
reclaiming
do?
my client. This is why I'm introducing the Rubio Act. So you focus on the one job that the Senate gave you to serve as our Secretary of State, because you are clearly distracted, okay? After the last few months, I understand why President Trump has such colorful nicknames for you. You're obedient. You're following the rules. You will do anything the president tells you to do without regard for the law, the Constitution, America's security, or standing as a leader in the world. Unlike you, I do not fear crossing Donald Trump. I refuse to give up on these children. I will be calling you once a week until you take action to fund RUFT and actually prove that you're doing this job to make sure you know how many children have died on your watch. Will you pick up my call?
No children are dying on
Will
our
you
watch.
pick up my call, sir?
Pick up your call?
When I call you to check in on your progress.
This exchange between Secretary Rubio and Congressman Gabe Amo is one of those rare moments where all the layers of Washington collide at once. The bureaucracy, the politics, the moral stakes, and the human cost of inaction. What you see here isn't just a disagreement about procedure. When Gabe Amo holds up that box of ready-to-use therapeutic food, he's not performing. He's grounding the conversation in something concrete and indisputable, a product made in America that can save a starving child's life in a matter of weeks, not theoretically, not eventually, immediately. And he makes the stakes unmistakably clear. 8,000 children die every single day from hunger, not from war, not from disease, but from the simplest deprivation on earth, food. That should have set the tone, but Rubio tries to turn the moment into a semantic fight over whether the State Department is or isn't responsible for the delay. And this is where the tension begins. Amo is not asking about abstract budgets or long-term programs. He is talking about 123,000 boxes sitting in a Rhode Island warehouse and another 185,000 paid for by the American taxpayer, boxes that aren't moving. And Rubio responds with denial. No State Department delay, no impediment, no problem. That response, the reflexive dismissal, is what ignites the confrontation, because whether he admits it or not, those boxes are sitting unmoved while kids waste away on the other side of the world. And Rubio tries to shift blame to other delays, as if starving children can wait while government agencies argue over whose fault it is. Amo doesn't let him. He keeps pulling the conversation back to the real-world consequences. A Rhode Island manufacturer had to lay off 10% of its employees because payments were delayed. Families here at home lost income. Children abroad lost their only lifeline. This is what makes Amo's interrogation so sharp. He forces Rubio to confront the fact that this isn't just a policy dispute. It's a failure with cascading human and economic consequences. And then the deeper issue emerges. Rubio is juggling so many roles under the Trump administration, national security advisor, archivist, USAID overseer, that it's impossible to know where responsibility begins and where accountability ends. Amo highlights the chaos of trying to run global humanitarian operations inside a government that's freezing aid, shifting priorities, and often ignoring the most urgent crises because they don't fit the political moment. That's the real story here. When Rubio insists that we do more food aid than anybody in the world, he's not wrong in a broad historical sense, but it's a deflection. Doing more than any other country doesn't mean doing enough. It doesn't mean doing it fast enough, and it doesn't absolve leaders from fixing a bottleneck when 185 boxes, each capable of saving a life, are just sitting there collecting dust. Humanitarian leadership is about action, not slogan statistics. Amo's frustration reaches its peak when Rubio tries to turn the question around on him. That's when Amo delivers the line that defines the entire exchange. My job is to ask you questions. It's a reminder that Congress exists to extract answers, not to become the target of deflection or whataboutism. The American people deserve accountability when their tax dollars are supposed to be saving lives. Amo tells Rubio he will call him every week until the food moves. That's not political theater. It's urgency. It's the voice of someone who understands what hunger means in practice. And when Rubio dismissively claims that no children are dying on our watch, it exposes the gap between Washington's insulated mindset and the brutal conditions on the ground. People who track global hunger numbers know that children are indeed dying every minute. Pretending otherwise isn't just inaccurate, it's dangerous. This confrontation ultimately isn't about partisan labels or who wins the argument. It's about what kind of country the United States chooses to be. Are we the nation that saves children from starvation, or the nation that lets life-saving food sit in a warehouse while officials argue over paperwork? Are we a government of action or a government of excuses? This clip forces viewers to reckon with those questions, and that's why this moment matters. Because humanitarian aid isn't abstract, it's a race against time. Every delay is measured in lives. And when leaders refuse to acknowledge reality, Congress has a duty to confront them fiercely, publicly, and relentlessly. If we want a world where starving children live long enough to have a future, then accountability cannot be optional, pressure cannot be optional, and silence absolutely cannot be an option. To everyone watching, stay informed, stay engaged, and don't let life or death issues be drowned out by political noise. Real lives depend on paying attention.